Super Bowl 2022 came and went. Big time coming out party for crypto companies everywhere. A lot of ad money was spent. A lot of interest was generated. And we have a clip of one of those ads right now. Let's take a peek at the FTX offering from last night's Super Bowl.
It's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
Larry David, of course, being very Larry David. And we are joined now by FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried to chat about what is going on in the crypto scene. Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Are you joining us from LA this fine morning?
I am.
Cool. Well, yeah, I just wanted to, get your sense on the current level of crypto conversation. You were spotted in LA last night at the Super Bowl, hanging with Shaq, hanging in the luxury box, making the rounds. Give me your gut check. What is the level of sophistication regarding crypto conversations that are happening right now among the Hollywood elite?
I think it's a lot more sophisticated than it was, say a year ago. I think what we're sort of used to hearing is effectively no knowledge about crypto, but endorsements coming out and that being pretty much it. And that's definitely no longer the case. Things are definitely a lot more sophisticated now. I've been getting questions about, talk to me about the various layer one blockchains, talk to me about what your view is of what the split will be in the future, of how many there will be, how will different nations interact with them. It's definitely taken a pretty massive step up.
Sam, I have two questions for you, one fun and one not that fun. So I'll start with the fun one. I was reading that you went through like 200 concepts before you landed on the Larry David concept for this commercial. What was that process like, and how did you end up with what we saw last night?
Yeah, so, at the very beginning, when we decided to potentially do a Super Bowl commercial, though it was still going to be contingent on sort of coming up with one that we actually liked. A big thought of ours was, look, like most of these don't have very much impact. And most of these, like, I can't remember them. I don't find them interesting. I don't know anyone who does. But there are some that people seem to find really interesting and exciting. And so I think a big piece of this was, can we come up with something really memorable here? And we went through a lot of concepts. We talked to a lot of agencies about a lot of concepts. And, sometimes we get back, like, here are 3 ads, like, choose your favorite. And we look at them and we'd be like, these are all mediocre. Like, please give us your good ads. These were the mediocre ads. Like, I don't know, we kind of prefer the good ones. And then they'd actually come back like 3 days later with like substantially better ads. And we're kind of like, that's interesting. Like, why don't you start off with the good ones? Like, I don't know.
You had a second question, right, Jen?
Jen, asking a fun question.
Okay.
We're on pins and needles.
So interesting question. Okay.
You were hesitant there, huh?
I know. Well, I was thinking about the agencies coming to you guys with the bad ads first. Like, come on, bring out your A game. We're talking to FTX here. Okay, so I know that you've said before that the celebrity and the big ads and the marketing spend and the sponsorships are in part to woo regulators, if I could put it in those words. And you spent a fair amount of time in Washington lately. So has this been working? What's the sentiment in Washington, and have the ads and has the big splash been working?
Yeah, so I think the bigger thing I'd say is that, when we run these ads, we're really trying to make sure that they're not misleading, that these are not sort of just shelling crypto, that they're not, going to come across as this sort of contentless, but sort of inauthentic and scammy vibe that I think people are most worried about there. And I think that was one of the biggest things that we were thinking about also when choosing the ads. It's like, oh, come on. Like, some of these we'd look at them like, this is not like something we would be proud to be airing. This is not something that I would want to go talk to someone and say, that was our ad. And I think that was frankly one of our bigger selection criteria, was which of these ads do we feel like comfortable and sort of excited saying, yeah, that was the ad that we came up with, we're proud of it.
Yeah, Sam, I have a not so fun question because I'm a not so fun person, but given FTX's commitment to carbon neutrality, do you think there is room in the future for a proof of work blockchain? Or do you think that we, and when I say we, I mean me, are naive to think that we can support one or maybe even two, depending if Ethereum does move over to proof of stake? What's the future look like for us in that perspective?
So I basically think that, first of all, I don't know the future. I'm just guessing here. But if I had to guess, I think what I'd say is that my best guess is that there will be proof of work blockchains, but that most transactions won't be happening on them, that payments won't be happening directly on a proof of work blockchain. And in fact, even most times that you send a Bitcoin around, you're probably not going to be directly using the Bitcoin blockchain. You're probably going to be using Lightning Network, a layer 2, a wrapper on a proof of stake layer 1 or something else. And so I think that while there is room for proof of work blockchains, they're just not going to be the thing that has massive direct transaction volume on them. I think that's true because of the carbon impact. And I think, frankly, it's also just true because, when you look at the energy cost of using them, like it's already significant, and that's only going to keep increasing if the transaction count directly on proof of work blockchains increases.
Okay, we're gonna go back to the fun stuff because that's the whole point of this, right? Just had Super Bowl Sunday. Let's go back to that. Larry David, he's well known for writing his own scripts. Did he write that commercial himself, or was that you? Was that the FTX guys?
He had a significant hand, and I think a lot of people contributed to some extent to it. But he was definitely one of the larger contributers.
That's pretty sick. You got Larry.
Is
David
he actually
involved
a
in
skeptic?
crypto advertisement now.
I think he's sort of I don't want to put words in his mouth. He's the better one to talk about it than I. But my sort of sense is like soft skeptic. Like, he's not coming in from a perspective of this is obviously a scam. He's also not coming in from a perspective of I'm a huge believer in this space. I think he's coming in from a perspective, I don't know, there's their pros and cons, and like it's not historically been the thing that I've been a full believer in, but is interested in it.
So when you're talking to Larry David okay, hop in there. You got it.
I just want to ask one question. Did you pay him in Bitcoin or did you just pay him fiat? Like, how were you on brand with that at least? Maybe something else? FTT?
It's a good question. I don't believe we paid in Bitcoin. I actually don't know how. Sorry, I don't know how public the answer to that is. So I'm gonna hold off on answering that.
Put you on the spot. It's okay.
We'll get to the bottom of that one. That's gonna be good. If Larry David is now sitting on a Bitcoin bag, that's certainly news. All right, cool. I just wanted to ask, when you're talking to Larry David or you're talking to Shaq, you're talking to celebrities, does the conversation revolve around NFTs? Is there a particular aspect of the crypto world that is resonating more clearly with sort of that subsector of the general population? What's like, maybe what's the smartest question you heard yesterday and what's the dumbest question you heard yesterday when it comes to how people are starting to engage with some of these technologies?
Yeah, NFTs are definitely a decent part of it. And I think a lot of the reason is that it's something that makes a lot of sense in the context of what people are themselves directly working on. When you look at how it can interact with entertainment, how it can interact with music, with tickets, and a lot of other things. So I definitely think that they come up a decent amount. But I also think that it's like somewhat intelligent, informed, and sometimes skeptical questions that we get about NFTs. I think sort of a typical question would be like, yeah, so like NFTs, like talk to me about like what they are, like, the like current crop. I think they're kind of cool, but that's not the thing that I would be like saying is going to revolutionize the world. Like, but I'm hearing a ton about it. Talk to me about what they could mean and ways that in the future I could be interacting with NFTs. So I think that's sort of what we get the most of.
Okay, Sam, I'll ask you a fun one since I got peer pressured into it. One of the crypto commercials we saw last night had a subtle reference to the mimetic world of dog tokens where a dog was kind of flashed on the screen for a split second. Do you think that meme coins hurt or help the crypto industry?
Oh boy. So my, I mean, so
I guess that's not
think that
fun,
there's
is it?
like,
Sorry.
no, that's all good. I think that there's sort of I think this sort of like popular answer to give right here is that they hurt the industry because they're sort of less serious and give it a bad reputation. And I mean, yeah, okay, I think there's some truth to that, but I think on net they've almost certainly helped the industry. Because I think on net, when you put everything together, what's the biggest effect of them? I think the biggest effect of them is just the amount of attention and interest that they've brought to the industry.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, we only have a few minutes left, so we got to go through some questions the press has, for whatever reason, decided to ignore, and we really need to get to the bottom of. Hong Kong or Bahamas? What would you choose if you had to live in it the rest of your life?
I'll say I'm really happy in the Bahamas right now. It's been a great place. A lot of this is just like to do with the fact that there's easy travel to and from it right now, which is really important for me to be able to do things like this. And has a comprehensive regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies. And I don't know, conveniently located, great place to live. So I'm pretty happy in the Bahamas.
Okay, follow up on that. Would you drive a Toyota Corolla the rest of your life? Yes or no?
I'd be fine with it. I don't think I care that much.
There we go. No, I'm a Honda Civic fan, so I am totally there with you.
I understand. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so offensive there.
Toyota crew. Sorry, man.
Tough for us Civic fans out here. 046 shift repping it. Okay, I'll give it to Jen for the last question. I think then we're bouncing.
I don't think we're bouncing. I have a fun question that I want to add in. Yeah, we got a lot more. So, okay, I have to ask you while we're on the fun questions, do you still live with roommates?
I do. I live with a bunch of colleagues now, which is really fun. And we hang out, play games after work, eat together sometimes.
That's awesome. I don't know that I would live with the guys on this show, so kudos to you.
Oh, sorry, guys.
That's kind of tough.
I wouldn't live with you either,
rude.
Jen.
Wow. Let's not fight in front of our guests.
It's off-brand.
All right,
I'll pick it up with another
one.
question. Oh, yeah, you get it, Seward.
I got one. It's a question you get all the time, I'm sure. I think, investors in the space are seeing sort of like, the opportunity to be the Pepsi of Coinbase's Coke in the public markets is probably certainly pretty prized right now. It's driving some of these valuations in terms of how much FTX is valued and all that stuff. Any updates on any plans or considerations for FTX to go public?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we have conversations about every month or two. And I think we're in roughly the same places, which is, we could go down that path. I'm not sure whether we will. We don't have any imminent plans to. And I think part of that just has to do with like how different markets are right now. But I think part of that is also that, we don't have to, fortunately. We're in a position where we can stay private if we want to. It's a lot of work to go public. So we don't want to put that in sort of for no reason. So I think we're going to sort of wait and see. And, if there sort of comes an opportunity to do so that seems really compelling, then we'll go in that direction. But if not, we may hang out private for a while.
Sam, as a CEO, what is the benefit of going public when you have access to all the private money you could ask for?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? And like part of the answer is like, I don't know, there isn't as much of a benefit, right? And I think that there have been a lot of sort of advancements in market structure recently, which have led to private markets being a lot more liquid than they used to be. I think that like, to the extent that there are advantages, I think one of the, what are some of these? I think one of them is just being able to get some of the legitimacy that comes with being a public company. And frankly, I think we're able to get some of that just with the private raises that we're doing, but I don't think it's exactly the same thing. And I do think that like, there are ways in which I would be excited to be, able to tap into that. And especially if we're looking for M&A type things, I think that there's a value to having, public company currency. But I don't think that's the biggest factor in the world.
Yeah, makes sense.
On the topic of M&As, FTX has done a really good job at making really strategic acquisitions to get the right licenses you need in different jurisdictions, and you've really worked well with regulators. On the regulatory front, what do you think needs to happen next to progress the industry?
So it's a good question, and obviously to some extent the answer is different in different countries, and so it's worth acknowledging that. But by what's the overall answer to this? I think the biggest answers are. First of all, in the United States, I think that there's a few more sort of steps forward in market structure regulation that would be really important. I think talking about oversight of stablecoin holdings is one piece of this. I think looking at clear and consistent markets regulatory framework for spot and futures markets in crypto, and then token registration formats. I think those are probably the three biggest things in the States. And then I think more generally, just productive conversations between regulators and the industry that are that make both sides feel heard. And I don't think this is something the industry has been great at historically. I think optimistically we've gotten a fair bit better at it over the last year. But it's something which it just goes way better when everyone is sort of working constructively together rather than fighting.
All right, I'm going back to the Super Bowl. I've never been to a Super Bowl, so I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if you get to watch the commercials when you're at the Super Bowl, but did you have a favorite commercial? You can't say your own, mind you, but did you have a favorite commercial from last night's broadcast?
Oh, it's an interesting question. And part of the unfortunate answer here is they do not show the commercials at the actual Super Bowl.
Brutal.
I was wondering that too. But that turns out, so I haven't seen most of them. The only, I've obviously seen ours, and I watched like one or two, just like clips of them online. But like, honestly, other than like reading about them, the only commercials I have myself seen are the commercials from our industry. Because I wanted to make sure to look at how those turned out. So, unfortunately, part of my answer here is going to be that the only ones I can even really comment on are is Coinbase's and crypto.com's.
You got to comment on them. You got to say what was your take? We'll do it rapid fire. Coinbase. What did you think?
Oh boy.
Did you get that $15 of free Coinbase money?
Yeah, did you?
I did not know.
If you got there before the site crashed.
Right, which I wasn't able to. I was at the game, so seeing it like secondhand, and it was. So I was trying to take a picture of a QR code of a picture of the ad from someone's cell phone from a TV, and that didn't work so well. It was a little fuzzy. I thought it was a really cool concept. And I encouraged them on that. It was creative. I think it was. I tried thinking about like how I would have done that if I were them. Didn't come up with like great ideas about how to modify it. But I think it's a cool idea. And I'm frankly like probably pretty good for direct signups. So that's what they're sort of optimizing for. It should be a pretty reasonable thing for them to optimize for. I also think that the concept of the crypto.com one, and especially the thing they released afterwards with like the 3D sort of like metaverse tour of LeBron's room growing up was a really cool idea and cool concept. And so I sort of appreciate that. I think I probably would have like thought about. And again, I don't know exactly what I would have done differently, but I felt like there was more to do in terms of like what the ad was saying in the end, and but I also appreciated the fact that it was like only tangentially crypto related, which I think is again, I think that's sort of important for it being what I think they were aiming for, which is not trying to shill crypto.
Okay, gotta know, how do you feel about the halftime show? Did you get down with it, or was it cool? And was it cool in person? How was it?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really cool idea. The only problem with it is that at least I don't know how this was on TV, but at the stadium, the volume ratios were off. So like at the stadium, like the beat was pounding, but you couldn't make out the words that they were saying if you didn't have to already know the songs. And I knew some of them, but not all of them. And so that's my only gripe with it. But I was extremely excited when I saw that that's what the halftime show was going to be. And also, I mean, the teaser video that they made for the halftime show was also phenomenal.
Nice. Sam, I have a not serious question for you because I feel like I'm a mini you right now. When's the last time you got a haircut? Because I'm going on 5 months right now. And if I didn't comb my hair, I think I would be in the same ballpark as you right now.
Yeah, well, mine's actually worse because I've got headphones on top, which is, tamping it down here. If I it's just sort of like, goes like that.
There it is. I can do it too.
It looks great.
Not bad.
Well, thank you. It's, how long has it been? I want to say it's been like 6 or 8 months, but I actually don't remember exactly when I last did. So something like that.